Scrappy, Scrappy, Scrappy. A Hustler's Review. So, in this Hustler's Review series, I'm just going to be talking about characters that die and just talking about their strengths, their weaknesses, their personality and character traits, what led to their demise, and yeah, just things like that really, just talking about the character, whether they deserve to die or not, etc, etc. And so, starting off with Scrappy, the first death of season 2, and with him, very interesting character, very, very loyal, quite funny as well, and very, very interesting. We first saw Scrappy and how useful he was to Rock's crew when Rock ordered him to pretty much kill, what's that white girl's name? I forgot her name. The blonde lady, the one Marvin was smashing, but her name, I forget how follows it. That doesn't ring a bell right now, her name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. I'll probably put a picture of her maybe. But Rock instructed Scrap to basically kill her dog, and that's exactly what Scrap did. And Scrap was a loyal soldier. We see him running from the feds at times as well, while he's selling products on the corner. And we see him, just pretty much babysitting Kanan at the stash house as well. And he's got some smarts about him. He even said to Kanan, look, everyone's in the game, but everyone's supposed to know about where the stash is. He told Kanan that, and we see that he's got a little bit of smarts to go with his loyalty. I'm not saying he's a genius or anything, but he's got some smarts to go with his loyalty. But so far, the relationship between Rock and Scrap was good and everything was going alright. But then Rock started bringing Kanan into things, and that's where things started to go downhill for Scrap. And Jones, it wasn't even his fault, really. It wasn't even Scrap's fault. But things started to go downhill for Scrap. Yeah, things started to go downhill for Scrap after Kanan got involved, because Kanan started making just dumb mistakes, accusing Scrap of pretty much snitching to the other side. And yeah, and so that led to a fight between Scrap and Kanan. Scrap won the fight. Feds come in, they arrest them both. Scrap tells Rock what happened, and now Rock pretty much thinks, since Scrap got on a fight with Kanan, I could put Scrap as a mole, as an infiltrator, as an insider in Neek's organization, and Neek will believe it because they got into a fight. He got into a fight with Kanan, and so that's exactly what Rock does. It doesn't work though. Neek sees right through it. Come on, who wouldn't? I think that wasn't the greatest plan by Rock, and Scrap Scrap and Rolla end up going to the club on the night of The Streets Need a Body, that song, and they try to kill Lulu, but Scrap ends up giving Lulu a sign that Lulu should run, that Lulu's about to be killed. But Rolla pretty much knows what's going on. He points the gun at Scrap's head, and next time we see Scrap, he's laid out on the floor right next to Rock's house, and he looks battered, bruised and tortured, literally. And so we found out that Scrappy lost the eye and he lost the kidney, saving Lulu's life. Is mad. And Rock was so nonchalant about that, and I noticed that. She was like, oh, life goes on, who cares? Well, she didn't say who cares, but she said life goes on, but life don't stop for us, like life don't stop for Scrap. And Kanan was a bit more sympathetic. Kanan was like, oh, but they took his eye and all that. But Rock didn't seem to really care that much. Very, very nonchalant, considering this is someone she raised from 14. So, yeah, that was the first sign that, that Rock would just take out Scrap like that with ease. And obviously that's what we saw later on in season 2. But in between that, obviously what we saw was Scrap pretty much recovering from his injury. So we didn't see him for 3 episodes. I guess he was just recovering. In the last episode, he drove Kanan basically to a safe spot after Kanan being killed that fed. And that's pretty much what must have been very difficult for him to do, especially considering he's only got one eye and them to drive around and avoid the feds. Very difficult job, but he still did it. So, out here driving with one eye and then 3-star police GTA settings and that. But he still got the job done. And he ended up saying to Rock that he's got to get his car cleaned and all that. And then if you go to, I think that was the end of Scrap for pretty much that entire episode. And now season 2 of episode 1, we found out Scrap's got a gambling problem. He loves to gamble, was passed on from his parents. His dad was a bookie. His mum had this card game that she played in the basement with people and that, and every Wednesday that Scrap used to get involved in. And Rock told Scrap, lay off the gambling, stop that shit, because we need to focus on the little things. And we can't have stuff like gambling and getting the feds, drawing attention from us from the feds and that, from the police. So stop the gambling, that's what Rock said. But Scrap didn't listen. He ended up gambling. Feds come, they arrest him. We found out that his mum was calling for this detective called Detective Peng, and we meet Detective Peng, and he says to Detective Howard that he's got a CI in there, and it was his mum and Scrap's mum and Scrap inside that building, inside the interrogation room. But most of us suspect that Scrap's not the one that's a CI, it's his mum. But Detective Howard now tells Rock that Scrap was in there and he was snitching, but Howard didn't say anything about Scrap's mum, which is quite interesting. Did he do that on purpose, or to destabilize Rock's organization, or was it just backs? And I don't know. What do you guys think? Put your thoughts in the comment section. But yeah, Howard tells Rock. Rock ends up telling Marvin, find out more about where Scrap was and all that stuff. Marvin ends up finding out that Scrap is lying about his whereabouts because he's saying he was with his cousin Corona when he wasn't. But Scrap ended up giving Marvin this big epic rant about how much he sacrificed for the crew, how he's been down with them since he was 14, how much he's been loyal, but they're giving territory to Worrell, who cost Scrap half his eyes and a kidney. And Scrap's loyalty is not being rewarded, and he's complaining at Marvin for that. And rightly so. I'm not criticizing Scrap for complaining. I don't blame him for ranting, because they haven't done right by him. Rock and them, especially Rock, because she's the boss. She calls the shots. She hasn't done right by Scrap. So Scrap has a right to complain. And so, because Scrap was lying about his whereabouts, Lulu and Marvin were like, they're still not 100% sure if Scrap's a snitch. So they're not on board with killing Scrap. But Rock was like, she'll do it. And that's what she ends up doing. And yeah, it's pretty sad because Scrap thought he was getting a promotion. But Rock ends up taking him out like that. Yeah. Very, very. Probably one of the saddest power deaths, but it is what it is. That's what happened. So yeah, that's Scrap's journey pretty much. I wanted to see more from him. I wanted to see more about his character. I wanted to see what they could have done with his character, how they could have evolved his character. And I wanted to find out more about his backstory, some of the stuff he was doing when he was 14, 15, 16, for some of the stuff he was doing for Rock's crew, because we don't know too much about it. So I wanted to find out more about his character. I wanted to see if he was going to teach Kanan more about the game, because he's got more experience than Kanan, and that he's about 3-4 years older. So yeah, Scrap was 19 when he really got killed. I know that because season 1 they said that he's been working for Rock for 5 years, and obviously he started when he was 14, as he said in the last episode. So that means he must be 19 now. So yeah, rest in peace to Scrappy, one of my favorite characters. Very, very loyal, and one of his strengths was his loyalty, because it meant that he could be trusted, and someone that you could trust is a very, very valuable asset. But Rock didn't treat him like he was a valuable asset. Rock treated him like he was just a pawn, like he didn't matter. And I can say that because of how she killed him. Didn't even give him a chance to explain. Didn't really care too much when he lost an eye. Yeah, Rock treated him like he was just a pawn, like he wasn't a loyal soldier. She never rewarded his loyalty, and that's a big mistake. Because especially if you want to keep your organization stable and you want to keep people that work for you, you want to gain their trust and stuff like that. If you want to do something like that, like gain people's trust, you got to reward people that are loyal to make people want to be more loyal. It's like positive reinforcement, psychological method. I'm sure some of you have heard of positive reinforcement. If you want people to maintain a specific behavior, you have to reward that behavior whenever it's executed. So, for example, loyalty. If you wanted people, including Scrap and just people in general, to maintain loyalty to her, she has to reward that behavior. But when Scrap was loyal and lost his eye and kidney, she didn't reward him. In finishing, she gave Rolla the territory that he wanted, when Rolla was the person that cost Scrap half his eyes. What she should have done is gave Scrap a promotion by giving him that territory and giving him a raise as a reward for his loyalty. But so I think that's poor leadership skills from her up there. Because why people want to work for you now in the future if they know that, especially if they know that you killed Scrap? So it doesn't surprise me that she wants to hide the fact that, because in the trailer for episode 3 she's trying to hide the fact that she killed Scrap, and that doesn't surprise me, because if word gets out about that, why would people want to work for her in the future? At least not people in numbers. Not many people would want to work for her in the future, because they're going to see, you clearly don't reward loyalty. Scrap was loyal and you killed him, so why would I want to work for you? That's how people are going to look at it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Rock made a mistake by doing that. But Scrap, yeah, one of his strengths was loyalty. He could fight as well, to an extent. I don't think he was this amazing fighter, because Rolla did take his eye. But I think to an extent his fighting ability was okay. We saw that when he fought Kanan. And yeah, like I said, he was loyal. One of his weaknesses though, where I would say that his ability to think on the spot wasn't the best. Because, like, for example, when Marvin was continuously asking him about where he was last night, he should have thought to himself, why is he asking me the same question? I just gave this big rant and he's still asking me about where I was. Does he know something? He should have thought about that, especially considering he was lying. But he didn't think about that. And on top of that, he should have covered all bases. What I mean by that is that he should have called his cousin in Corona, told her, look, someone might come to you and ask you, was anyone hanging up was anyone hanging up pictures on the walls? Yeah, just say yes. Just say yes. Please, like, this could cost me my life. Just say yes. That's what he should have told her. But he didn't tell her. He didn't think that Marvin would go there. But he probably should have thought that, considering Marvin asking him the same question multiple times. When someone does that, ask you the same question multiple times, it probably means that they know something or they want to know something. So that's what I mean. Just intuitiveness. I think that Scrap, that's one of his weaknesses. He wasn't the most intuitive character. And even the scene where he got beaten up by Rolla and Rolla took his eye, I think he shouldn't have tried to come back with Rolla after that fight broke out in the club. He should have probably left with like Lulu or something like that. Maybe that one's a bit not as straightforward, but yeah, I don't know. I think those are just some of his weaknesses. I would say his lack of intuition. But credit to Scrap, he was at the time was probably my favourite character. But yeah, rest in peace to him. And that's it for a Hustlers review. If you want to see more series like this, then let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, what do you think of this video? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? That's it for this video. So until next time.